Right, okay, Jack, welcome to Fleetwood Town. How are you settling in?
First and foremost, thank you very much for your welcome. I'm settling in well to what is a new role for me. But I've seen already it looks like a really good club to be at Fleetwood. It's been a busy first couple of days, I'll be perfectly honest, but it's certainly what you expect within the role. But no, really good start. Enjoyed it so far and looking forward to what comes next.
You spent a bit of time with the academy so far this week. What's your first impressions been?
Really positive from staff. The welcome that I've got from staff has been brilliant. Been overwhelming in some respects. I've not met too much of the players yet, and that's certainly going to be what I'm looking to do next. Players and parents, but those that I have met have made me feel really welcome as well. Obviously, you look at the facility first and foremost as a standout. It's one that's really impressive when you walk through the door, not just the training ground at Poolfoot, but also at the stadium as well. So it's been quite a lot to take in, probably in my first few days, but certainly the welcome I've received from everybody has been the standout and shows the kind of people I'm going to be working with.
And you mentioned the infrastructure around the place and also the people that you've already met. Fleetwood have got big plans going forward, so was that an attraction for you?
Yeah, certainly. To be honest, it was the biggest standout. The chairman has quite openly been a huge part of this football club and the growth and the development of that over the past 15 years. The club has moved phenomenally, both on and off the pitch in that time. And to be honest, within my previous role at Burnley, this was probably going to be the only club that I was going to make that step to at this stage in my career. I think the club and myself have quite similar values in terms of the club is dynamic. It's a dynamic football club that wants to continue to progress and continue to move forwards, and wants to probably be a little bit differently to work differently to its rivals in that respect. And myself as a professional, very much similar in terms of the values that I share. Of I want to continue to progress my own career. I'm an ambitious young man, and that's certainly something that ticked a huge box for me, that the club wants to continue to progress and move towards a championship at first team level and continue to invest in the academy. That was certainly the standout during the middle of a pandemic as well, that the chairman was quite open in saying he was going to continue to do that. So huge pluses all round. And like I say, it's going to be a challenge, but it's one that I'm certainly open to.
So you mentioned progression and also the fact that you want to move forward with the club, and that the club actually has ambitions to move forward. The club, during that pandemic that you previously mentioned, announced that they were going to be moving towards Category 2, which you've actually been through the process at Burnley. So how important will that be for Fleetwood Town?
I think it's vitally important, to be perfectly honest. We've got we've got some clubs on our doorstep, Blackpool, Preston, that we are in competition with. To recruit the best players around the local area, and anything that we can do to show ambition beyond that is certainly going to help us get those best players in. Obviously we're at a similar category at the moment in terms of we're Cat 3, so we are quite similar in terms of the games programme that we have. However, I would look at our infrastructure in terms of the training ground and our ambition as being one that should be really exciting for players on the Fylde coast to come and join. As we obviously hopefully progress towards Cat 2 in the near future, that will certainly open up a lot more doors in terms of a more competitive games programme, wider experiences for players both on and off the pitch, and equally as well increasing the number of staff in. That's certainly something we're going to be looking to do over the next sort of 12 to 24 months to provide more support for our younger players, because it is important that they get their care and attention for their individual needs and not just for each age group. So that's certainly something we've looked at quite early on. It's certainly my first few days, which as I say has been a bit of a whirlwind, but no, it's certainly something that's really exciting to hear the noise around Cat 2 and the ambition of the club and the owner, the chief exec, and the manager's been great in supporting that as well. But first and foremost, we need to really look at what are we as a football club and what are we as an academy, and provide that framework to build on and hopefully move towards Category 2 in the near future.
And we'll soon come back and touch on the first team and Joey Barton, but we're just going to say that compared to the academies that you've mentioned previously with Blackpool and Preston, we are a relatively new academy. And how impressed are you in the fact that we've grown such a distance in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, the club has come, and I was just looking at it there, and the club's come a long way in such a short time. And obviously the academy's still new and the academy's still progressing, and we've got our first academy intake that are now under 16s. So they're looking for a full-time contract with the club to move into the youth team towards the end of this season, and that's really exciting for us to sort of look at and think they're our first group within the academy that will hopefully be professional, be apprentices next year, and then coming towards professional status. But yeah, we need to sort of really take stock of who we are and what we are and where we've come in that distance and in that time frame, and have a look at what the next steps are for us. As I say, not just on the pitch in terms of the players we have, but also the infrastructure behind that provides the support for these players to go and develop. As I say, providing that structure, that framework, and once we've got that in place, we can still really start to have a look and identify what looks best for the under-18s, what looks best for the 23s, and all that will provide a pathway for players to get into the first team more regularly and support the manager in whatever he needs.
And going back to the first team and the manager, you're at the Blackburn game, pre-season friendly that took place recently, and a number of academy graduates played in that game. So how encouraging is that for you to see? You mentioned that you've got your first intake of 16s, that academy players will get a chance in this team.
Yeah, and the manager's not just shown it this pre-season, but in the previous 2 years as well. He's been through the system, which is probably one of the most important things. He gets it, he understands it, as does many of his staff. Clint Hill, Andy Mangan, Barry Nicholson, Stephen Craney, and then even Matthew Blinkhorn, Simon Wiles, Steve McCauley. They understand the journey for a player, and the manager is realistic. He knows obviously we're a League One club, and we have to provide players to support his first team. And it's been great to come and watch them on Saturday against Blackburn and watch their progression in the second half, and watch playing with more senior professionals against players in the league above as well, and watching them have that challenge. And that's really important for young people and young players, that we experience challenge, we stretch and challenge the individual, we develop the person, and we challenge the player. And like I say, the manager has to be a big part of that. He has to buy into everything we do as an academy and support that all the way through. And as I say, he's certainly shown that in the last 2 years, that he's not afraid of putting a young lad in and giving him his opportunity. And sometimes they won't be ready, and sometimes they'll make mistakes, and it's important that we, again, I talk about the structure and the framework, they can come back to us, and we can sort of continue to work with them and develop exactly what it is that they need at this time, to then reintegrate them back into the first team squad when it's right for them. And as I say, that just comes from constant dialogue between ourselves and the first team, and that's something that we're going to continue to work on over the foreseeable future.
And Joey Barton, as he likes to say himself, he likes to blood the youth and get them into these tough situations, essentially put them into the game and see how they develop throughout the match. But you said that they can have the opportunity to go back into the youth setup and develop their skills further. How important will your coaches be in that setup? Yeah,
really, really important. It's important as well that we sort of really nail this under-23s group as well, and as we progress, it's that's quite the difficult age group at the moment, because it's quite a big jump from under-18s to first team. We know that. So having that bit of a development group in terms of having a good squad to work with for Stephen Craney and Barry Nicholson, and then other coaches as well, to be able to drop in and blood these young professionals and try and bridge that gap between what is under-18s football and what is first team football, and the demands of that. And as I say, not just the coaches, but the sports scientists, the physios, the analysts, they all play their part in supporting the player and the person. But as I say, I've met the manager a number of times already in my first few days, and we both understand we're on the same wavelength in terms of what his requirements are and what we need to do to meet those requirements, because ultimately we're all here to support the first team. We want to get players in Fleetwood Town's first team. We want to develop the best people to support that first team, and as I say, that's staff and players. So it's a really exciting time. It's a really exciting club to be at. It's an exciting role to be in for myself. And as I say, more so than anything, I've been overwhelmed by the quality of staff that we have at Fleetwood Town within the academy and how good they are with young people, and that's the most important thing for me. I've come from sort of a player care background, and I love working with young people. I love watching them develop and grow, and there's something unique about watching it glitter in a young person's eye, and when they really understand it, and when they're under the cosh and you challenge them, and you just watch them grow and you watch them develop inside, and I've seen that in my staff already, that it's a unique place to be at. And I use the word unique again. There is a uniqueness to this football club in the progression, the work of the chairman, the progression of the training ground, the progression of the stadium, the progression of young players into the first team. As I say, it's a great opportunity, and it's one that I'm really hoping to continue and make a good impression.
Well, Jack, I can tell you're passionate about the role, and I'll let you get back to your daily duties. So all I can say now is congratulations on the role, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.